Do you struggle to show affection to your children? Do you find yourself too busy or too serious to be able to just stop and show your child love and affection? Maybe your child comes up to you and you kind of wince them away and say, not now, now's not a good time, maybe later. Or do you just think that you don't have what it takes to give love? You just don't have it within you because you're just running on empty yourself. If so, you're going to love today's podcast where I delve into why most mothers find it hard to show affection to their children and how to overcome this, and also why this is an important step in your parenting that you just cannot afford to miss. You're going to love today's podcast. It's going to help so many people, no doubt. So tune in, inshallah. Let's get started. Welcome to the Happy Home Podcast, where we help Muslim mothers create success and happiness in their personal, professional and family life and raise their children as happy, pious and productive Muslims. My name is Sayed-Hossen and I am your host and the founder of the Happy Home Institute. Hey, assalamu alaikum. Welcome to today's podcast on how to create a happy home. Now, if you've been following me for a while, then you know that that's what I do, whether it's parenting or marriage or, personal struggles that you're having. I help my clients create a happy home because at the end of the day, it's what we all want. Even if we have a great career or great success outside the home in community projects, charity projects, whatever we're doing, if we're not happy at home, then we're never quite fulfilled and never quite at peace. In fact, it can be quite detrimental for us to focus on just being successful outside the home and not inside the home. And for two main reasons. The first being that actually it means that we end up focusing on our happiness and our success being outside the home and wanting to do more of that, investing more time into that, taking on more things that are outside the home. And what really needs your attention, the part of your life that really needs your attention, gets put on the back burner, but actually it continues to deteriorate because left to its own devices, relationships just get worse. If they're struggling, they get worse. And so it actually becomes more difficult for us to deal with it. The troubles at home grow, become more challenging. And if our focus is to end on what we're doing outside of our home and our success outside of our home, whether it's your career or your community projects or, whatever you're doing, it makes you want to do more of that and definitely spend less and less time at home. You may even tell yourself, this is why I go to work or focus on my business or set up multiple businesses and projects because they listen to me. It's easy. I'm good at that. That's what I'm good at. And we start telling ourselves, actually, I'm not very much of a family person. I'm not naturally a mother. I don't know how to do this. Relationships aren't for me. And as you start thinking that, your life becomes more and more isolated. So definitely focusing on our outside success and not dealing with the troubles at home can definitely be a road to becoming more and more alone. A second reason why it's detrimental for us to focus on just our success outside the home is because when we're not happy inside, when we're struggling inside, when we're upset, when we feel anxiety and sick in our stomach because we don't know what's going to happen when we go home, we don't know how things will be, we don't want to face our family members. When we feel like that, actually, it really affects our performance outside the home. Yes, we may have success. We may push ourselves, and work really, really hard and triple the effort that everyone else is making. But you're never at your best. You're having to burn out just to perform, but you're never at your best. You never have as much clarity and creativity as you would when you're actually in a good place inside, when you're at peace, when you're happy. So it inhibits your personal success inside and outside the home. So we don't do that. And any great coach that you would go to for business coaching, for leadership coaching, for career coaching would tell you that your success outside the home is really impacted by what's going on in your home. But if you create both, if you create inside and outside success, then you're going to see your life grow to a level you wouldn't have imagined and couldn't believe. So what does it take? If now you decide to focus on your success inside the home, creating happiness, what would it take? How do you go about creating a happy home? The first step, and that's what I want to share with you today, is to actually believe that you can. Because our own limiting beliefs on whether it's possible or whether people can change or whether we can change, or has it been like that too long? Has it gone too far? Has too much damage been done? These sort of thoughts, they hold us back. They keep us stuck until we settle for this is how life is. And I'll just create my happiness somewhere else, outside of the home, in other relationships, in what I do. And it's actually quite sad, because the amount of sisters that I speak to that settle, that have accepted, that say it's the decree of Allah, it's nothing I can do, I'm just going to accept it. And, it doesn't have to be like that. Actually, people can change. Things can change. They do. They absolutely do. You can bring about change. And how do I know that? How do I know that with absolute certainty? It's because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Allah will not change our condition until we change what is within ourselves. Now, that's the very basis upon which we work in the Happy Home Institute, because you know what it's like trying to change others, make them think a certain way, make them behave a certain way, make them respond a certain way, make them parent a certain way, make them understand you a certain way. You know how hard that is. And when we focus on controlling and changing others, that is why we don't succeed, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not give you power over others. Our power is over ourselves, but if we change ourselves, then Allah changes those around us, and Allah changes our condition. And that is why actually we end up giving up. We think, no, I've tried everything. I've tried pleasing. I've tried, doing everything. I've tried leading. I've tried, suggesting we get help. I've tried everything. I've tried staying quiet. I've tried getting angry. And nothing works, which is why we end up thinking they won't change. Things won't change. That's how it is. I have to settle. But that is not the case, because what has happened there is, in all of your effort, if it has been on trying to change the other person, so you get a different response, a different reaction, so that people step up, people take on their roles, people do what they're meant to do, children listen. If all of your effort has been geared towards changing others, then that is why it didn't work. It didn't work because that's not where our power lies. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not give us power and control over what others think and do, even our children. Where we have to focus our energy, and this is how we get such quick and great success in the Happy Home Institute, is because we focus on changing ourselves. How do we change ourselves so that our relationships change, our inner state changes, and we create a really, really happy and great life? And that's this process I take my clients on, focusing on what's within their power. But when you focus on that, you get the greatest change very quickly. I'm going to share some stories with you in a moment so that you can see what I mean. And you can understand, actually, that is going to give you exactly what you've been wanting, but by approaching it in a different way. And that's what we do. That's why we have the results we have. That's why I can guarantee you results. Because when you focus on changing yourself, everything around you changes. And if you know how to actually change it for the better, then you create the results you want. And that's how I guide my clients, because actually most of the time we take action, but it doesn't get us the result we want. It actually sabotages us. Like, for example, if we want closeness with our spouse, but then because we feel that they don't want it to, we end up putting a wall up. We end up giving them the cold shoulder. We end up saying, leave me alone, when really what we want is for them to come and talk to us and ask us, are we okay? And listen to us and understand us. And so pushing people away when really you want to be close is actually what we do to sabotage our relationships. We don't realize, but actually it's against what you're trying to do, because we struggle with knowing how to do it, what to do, how to get that result. How do I bring that closeness? Not only do we put it on the back burner, we avoid it, but actually we self-sabotage ourselves and we push people away when we really, really don't want to do that. But we just don't know what to do. And that's why getting a coach, someone that actually knows how to get you results, is the quickest way to create your happy home. Because it's something that we weren't taught. We weren't taught how to deal with relationships, how to bring out the best in each other, how to get our children to listen to us, how to help our spouses with their own struggles so that they can be leading their family regardless. They can grow into the leader of our home. We weren't taught this. And all of our best efforts, when they focus on changing what the other person does, it always leads us to being disappointed. So if you are looking for the first step in creating your happy home, the first step would be knowing that actually you can. Changing yourself is the easiest thing in the world to do. When you know what to change, when you know how to change, when you know why you're doing what you're doing and how it's going to benefit you. When you are armed with that knowledge and then you take those steps, it creates the greatest results, because now you're focusing on changing yourself, and the last one that I will change your condition. Let me give you some examples. Now, there was a client of mine this week that, was in a similar place. She said to me and my husband, we live like tenants in a home. We are very disconnected. We've been like that for many, many years. We went through a huge hurt years ago and we haven't reconnected. We're here for the kids, but we're really living separate lives, and I'm not going to leave him, but I've accepted that this is what my life will be like. And she accepted it. And she was willing to live out her days like that and make do with, friendships and projects and work commitments in order to keep her busy and for, and give her companionship. But as she's telling me that, I actually asked her a question, because I'm not the sort of coach that thinks, well, as long as you're okay, then that's fine. Because a lot of times that's what we do. We tell ourselves we're okay, but really we're not. We're just trying to convince ourselves. We try and convince ourselves to be okay with what we don't want. And I'm not that sort of coach that will let my clients settle if I know that that's not what they want. I have to ask them. I have to find out first. So I asked her, sister, what would you do? What would you do if your husband showed you that he actually wanted you? She looked at me in disbelief for a moment, and then she said, I would fall into sujood and thank Allah, because that's what I want. And I knew it. I knew that that's actually what she wanted. I've spoken to her many times, so I knew that's what she wanted. So I then said to her, right, then throw away that imaginary life that you were creating in your head, the one you were going to settle for, where you and your husband have no hope of reconciling, of reconnecting, and, having a loving relationship again that you once had. Throw that imaginary life out the window. You don't have to accept that. You don't have to settle for that. In fact, I'm going to show you how to reconnect with your husband. So I helped her. I gave her the steps. I ran her through kind of like the process of what she needs to do, one by one by one. And 2 weeks later, she sends me a message on a Sunday afternoon and says, Amina, you would not believe it. For the first time in 7 years, my husband has come up to me and kissed me. For the first time in 7 years. And alhamdulillah, she focused on taking the action. She's proactive, mashallah, this sister, very proactive. Took all the steps that I gave her, and a few weeks later, she gets that result. And yes, she falls into sujood, and she thanks Allah. But so did I. Because I am so, so grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He has blessed me with the tools that I am so confident in using in order to be able to save families, bring husbands and wives together again, bring parents and their distant children together again. A moment when, a child finally comes up to the mum and hugs her in years of not wanting to talk to her or be close to her, always brings me to tears, because that's what we're doing here. That's what I do. I help reconnect relationships. I help you to bring out the best in you and the best in your family. And if things have gone wrong, help you to reconnect and then show you actually how to do it, so you never go down that road again. So as she was grateful, I was very grateful. Alhamdulillah. And that's what it is. She was settling, but she didn't need to be. When I coached her through it, I could see exactly what was holding her back, what were the problems she was struggling with, and I gave her the steps to take, and she took them. And that's how coaching actually in the Happy Home Institute works. And I thought I'd talk a little bit about that. Not only would it help you then see that yes, it is possible, because this is the first step. If you want to create your happy home, you've got to believe that it's possible, that people can change, that you can bring about a happy home in your home. No matter what your challenge is, you can bring about happiness in your home. So sharing, the sort of work that I do here and what we do in the Institute, that will really help you to see what is possible for others, therefore it is possible for you. There are many success stories like that of that sister, and I will continue sharing more and more, because my clients share their wins every week, and I just don't manage to share it beyond beyond the Institute. But everyone does share their wins, and it's amazing. Small lead to huge success, alhamdulillah. There's also how we go about doing the work, and if you've ever wondered, but what is it that we do and how do we do it, then I wanted to share with you, well actually, we run 2 sessions a week. One where I train my clients, I run them through a transformative workshop on a weekly basis and show them exactly how to take small steps in order to get big results. How do I do it? How do I reconnect? How do I overcome hurt? How do I overcome trauma? How do I overcome disappointment in my relationships? And I take them through a process of what caused us to be in that place in the first, in that situation in the first place, and what we do to get out of it and stay out of it. How do we change a bad situation to good? How do we create the relationships that we want and the impact that we want in our home? So each week there is a workshop, and that will take them on a small journey, because the small journeys, the small consistent steps are always easier to manage and easier to do. Lots of things to do just overwhelms us. So I'm not one of those coaches that will give you lots of things to do and actually not help you get into the right mind space to do it. First, we've got to get rid of the overwhelm and the fears that hold us back, and then we can actually move forward to creating the results we want. The second thing that we do is I run coaching sessions, and my clients will come and bring whatever they're struggling with, whatever place they're at that point in their journey, and get help with that, get coached about that, find out what's blocking them and exactly what's going on with them and why they're struggling, in order to have a unique tailor-made solution for them as to how to address it. Because no 2 families are the same, no 2 children are the same, let alone 2 mothers. So we need to be able to really understand what's going on for us, because one size does not fit all. Also, I thought I'd share with you today some of the questions that they ask me, the topics that they bring, so you can see how varied it is and how we're working on each step of the journey together. So in parenting, how do we prepare our children for adulthood? our children who are very dependent on us, who expect a lot to be done for them, who don't take responsibility, who don't see the mess? How do we help prepare them for adulthood? And also children who are really wanting a lot of freedom, wanting to be treated like an adult, but we don't feel that they're quite responsible yet. How do we prepare them for that journey of adulthood? How do we best prepare our children? In terms of marriages, how do we break our husband's negative mood cycles? Because when he gets into a negative mood, he takes it out on me. I showed the sister exactly how to work with her husband to break the cycle, even though he himself wasn't getting coaching, but I guided her through how to help him see it and be able to change it. Alhamdulillah, we worked before on reconnecting the sister with her husband and him starting to get to a point where he felt respected and he was listening to her as well. And so now we could take the next step and break these negative mood cycles that he was getting into. Another coaching question asked was, how do we take steps for reconciliation when you're crippled with fear of hurt, fear of rejection? And that, was huge, because when the sister took that step, she found a very willing husband wanting what she wanted. So, inshallah, that is going to progress nicely for them. How to grow love once more in your marriage when it's been a loveless marriage for years. Now, talking through how to bring back the love was the next step for this particular sister. Another sister asked me about, how do you bring out the man that your husband used to be? He's no longer that man. Life has broken him. He's shut down. He's shut away. He thinks that he's such a failure. He's not who he used to be. But how do I get him back? So again, working with that sister to help her bring out the best in her husband. As for personal challenges, how do you do well in your life when others around you are not coping and not willing to get help? Now, a couple of sisters had that challenge because they were doing so well in their lives now, but those around them who were struggling were not willing to get help. And how can they support them without being dragged down? The next one was, how do you motivate yourself to exercise? So sisters with health challenges, raised that question, and that was very beneficial for all sisters that week. One sister asked for help with how to overcome the trauma of negative comments made as a child. So, things that have been said to you, ways that people have spoken to you when they stick and then they keep coming back up over and over, and working with sisters to overcome the trauma that they've gone through, something that, we do here, and we're able to get really good, fast results on that. So, being able to help the sister, and she really, alhamdulillah, felt a lot better after she understood what to do and got there. And so that gives you an idea. That gives you an idea of, what we do, how we take those steps, how the different questions come up, the different steps of the journey. You just bring the next thing that you're challenged with, and whatever that is, you will get coached on it, understand what's going on for you and how to take your next step. And if we did that regularly, imagine that you could create your happy home. And that's why I shared that today. That's why I've gone through, the challenges we have, because I wanted you to know how it's done. If the first step is to believe that it's possible, then I wanted to show you how we do it here. So it is. But it is taking a process. It is taking a journey for many clients who are unable to do it by themselves, or lack the knowledge or understanding or the time to go and figure it out. And also who want help to be consistent. Because sometimes we can take steps, but then we, are not consistent. Life happens to us. We get thrown off track, and then we're off track again for a long time. And so when, clients want to take consistent action, then they find coaching the best thing that they could have done. And so I'm sharing this because I think that that's going to really help you understand that you can do this. You can create a happy home. Believe that you can. Focus on what's in your power. Take step by step. Have the end goal in mind, but take small steps one by one. And you will create your happy home. Because the last one that I promise is, if you change within yourself, Allah will change your condition. So believe that you can. Believe that with Allah's help, anything and everything is possible. And with that, you will see that you will create your happy home, inshallah. And if you would like to speak to me and find out how I could help you create your happy home, then book a consultation with me. The link is below. Let's have a chat. And I will help you create your happy home, inshallah, quick and easy and straight to the results you want. Book a call and we'll speak. Okay, we'll leave it there. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum. I'll see you soon.